Welcome to the ALM demonstration. This software product demonstration will provide you with knowledge about two versions of ALM. And ALM is short for Application Lifecycle Management. The first version I'm going to talk about is what I call the on-premises version that is normally installed on a company's server, giving access to all project team members who can log in through the company's intranet. The second version of ALM is known as the cloud version. It is available from a browser connected to the internet. At the time of this training, ALM is in its 17th release. It has survived ownership by 4 different companies and is still evolving and improving. The two versions operate differently. You will get to see how the cloud version works internally, but the on-premises version, as I call it, which I have worked with for years, is not available for personal use. It requires a license which is not within my budget. So, I will give you a high-level overview of its capability. You should still be able to understand the concepts. On the screen I'm showing you, you can see a diagram that kind of gives you a feel architecturally of what this tool is all about. It is a web tool. It works on the servers as well as it works on the cloud. And how it works, as I said, is a little different, but we're going to see some of that difference, and you'll see that it still works pretty good. I have used it for a long time. I've enjoyed using it. I do recommend it. I'm not going to say I don't recommend Jira, but I'm going to give you a chance to see what it looks like as well. So let's move on to the next thing I want to show you. I'll start with the on-premises version first. There is a website known as the ALM Help Center, and that I'm showing right now on the screen. It provides plenty of information about the tool. You can search for it and look through the pages to get more detailed knowledge about the product. I'm just going to give you a high-level overview. So here we go. I'm showing you a diagram that allows you to see specific primary functions inside the ALM website, such as define a release cycle plan, define requirements, build test plans, execute tests, and submit defects. If you hover over each cycle, it is clickable and allows you to go to more detailed information on the subject. I am just going to click on each one and scroll a bit so you can see what it demonstrates. In ALM, it is designed to start at the development project level. This is where you define a project name and dates. That is the release entry. Then, if the project iterates, you can specify one or more cycles, which are project cycles. As you see here, it just references as cycles. So there's releases and cycles, and it is talking about what we know of as projects and project cycles. So you can have a one-to-one relationship or a one-to-many relationship. It just depends on how many project cycles are necessary to implement project deliverables. The next project level, we're going to go back. That action involves entering requirements. Right here at specify requirements. You can see that specify requirements. I'm going to click on that. If you remember the previous lessons, we talked about business, functional, and test requirements. All requirements can be entered, or just the test requirements if requirements analysis is already completed, where the test requirements have been checked against the business and functional requirements to ensure that all requirements are covered by at least one test requirement. Now, we are at another test project level. Let me go back. And that one is referred to as define a test plan and design tests. So we're talking about getting a plan together and then developing whatever test cases are necessary. That's the design test process. As a reminder, the plan includes objectives, strategy, resources, test scenarios, test cases, and test events. Once completed, it is good to have reports that can be requested and reviewed to confirm that the planning and design is ready for the next steps. Now, as far as the next step is concerned, once we have analyzed the data, we've determined that everything is ready for testing, we've got test cases, and we know it meets the test requirement needs, then we want to run those tests. So that's the next step. It involves scheduling and executing the test cases. The results are reviewed to determine if there are defects to input into ALM. When the defects are entered into ALM, they can be linked to requirements, to test runs, and to test cases. Something not mentioned here is the dashboard. It automatically gets updated and is available for anyone on the project team to have a summarized view of project status. Let's take a quick look at submit and track defects. Let's go with run tests first. I'll click on that. I'm going to scroll down. That's creating test sets. And test sets are ALM's word for test scenarios. Once you got the test sets, you're in what it's called the test lab module within ALM. You can not only create functional tests, but performance tests, security tests. All of that can be done along with analyzing the results and link to defects if you already have defects before you run, or once you've run, you can then link to defects, create them and link to them. Let me slip back over. So here's where we submit and track. They can be done from within the test lab, or you can wait till you're done, completed, satisfied, and then create defects. They can be imported from things like Excel, from products like Excel, Microsoft Word. Let's see if there's anything else I want to mention. And of course, when you create the defects, you have a lot of information to enter. You may have to go back in, assign it to somebody, repair what's there, and update the information. All of that's tied to the release, the project, and the project cycle, or cycles for that matter. Okay, so we're done here with the on-premises life cycle, or ALM, product. What we're going to do now is switch over to the cloud version of ALM. I want to show you some things there. I think you're going to be pleased with what you see. I'm now turning your attention to the cloud version of the ALM product. Here we are in the browser, and you can see before you it's specifying SAP Cloud ALM Public Demo Tenant. This gives access through SAP to the cloud version of the ALM product. It allows us to see a free environment that supports the ALM cloud functionality. You can even come back and look at the product yourself to get more familiar with its capabilities. I want to start by showing you the tenant access and user details which provide user credentials. We'll come back to where it says SAP Cloud ALM Launchpad. That will actually give us access to the cloud version of ALM. But here you can see I'm going to use the ADAM user ID. That's the first one listed here. It's an administrator. I'm selecting an ID that is an administrator so that my permissions are not limited. But you might want to use some other users to understand how the permissions work. That is good information to know. I am now ready to launch the tool. Going back, passed it up. Going back to this launch pad. I'm now ready to launch the tool using this button you see here. I click on it once, and momentarily it should give us a login page. Hopefully I remember the credentials, Adam, and the password I picked up in the clipboard. Click the login button. It authenticates and then displays a screen. The home page is divided into 3 sections. The help information, which you see on that first row, then the implementation section, which you see here. I'll scroll down a little further, and then the administration section. As a general user, my goal is to open a project that I have permission to see. So I want to see all the information associated with a specific project. I could go to lower levels, but I want to start at the top. So let's select the overview. Here in the implementation section, I'm going to click on Overview. And you can see momentarily the overview page is being displayed. I normally would expect it to show me what was the last one, but it looks like it's the last one anyone looked at. So let me do a pull down here and try to scroll down to, I'm looking for ALM projects. After all these numbers and so on, I should start to, in the dash, get past that. Bear with me a few more seconds. get past all. Okay, we're now coming into the actual A's, and there are two that I want to show you. One is this guy, ALM Cloud Public, but I want to go to ALM, I think it's ALM Demo Project, this guy here. Click on it, and it should open that project, and there it is. And you'll notice that there's 0%, which pretty much says, as far as progress is concerned, there isn't much. You notice as I scroll down, there are some tasks, but no requirements, no test cases, no other components. So those are the tasks. And then we get down to the other items that could be displayed, and we're seeing there is no data yet. Notice that they are divided by status. So you know if anything, and what I'm talking about here is going back to the statuses of the task. Oops, not that one, this one. So overdue tasks, unassigned tasks, and so on. They're divided into these status, so you know if anything is in progress or completed or still waiting for assignment. So that's a nice feature to have inside the product. So I'm back to the top here. Now let's move on. Going to open this window again, and this time select the ALM Cloud Public. It's one I looked at before, and I know it has some information, and I think that will be helpful to you. All right, so we've moved on to this other project, and we'll see that it has activity. If you'll notice, there's some percentages, overall preparation percentage. There are many tasks that have been identified. If I hover over it, it will show me what that has to do with. There are open tasks. There are tasks in progress, and there are tasks that are completed. Let's scroll down further. We see the breakdown again of the task by status. As I scroll, I find that as far as whoever is logged in, which is Adam at this point, has 58 assigned tasks that are yet completed. And so that would be a way to go in and find out what you as a test analyst have assigned to you, and then you work accordingly. Events, distribution. I want to scroll down a little further here to reveal scope information, requirements entered. Let's see if we get to that point. Yeah, here we are. So we have some requirements entered. Even test cases are in progress. If I scroll down a little further, I see test case preparation. Okay. I'm going to view the requirements page and then the test cases. So here's the requirements page. If I can scroll back up here. There we go. Requirements, requirement distribution. I'm just going to click on these two here. And momentarily, it displays the requirements. page. Up at the top, we have selection criteria that can be utilized for filtering, in other words. And here are the two requirements that it indicated were there. They have a number assigned to them, a title, and some other information. They are approved. They're in an approved status. And you can see a create button, a delete button. So if I select, then we get more detailed information on the right-hand side. I can edit that information, create a new requirement if I need that. I can see that there are some additional information about test cases, features, tasks, and stories that could be associated with this requirement. It could be user stories and other tasks and what have you. Not planning to go into detail. We're not doing a training session here. I just want to give you an idea of what's involved, what is here in the cloud version of ALM. All right, so let's go back. So you saw that on the requirements page you could see listings and you could drill down to get more detail. The requirements should be testing requirements that can be linked to business and functional requirements. These entries are shown as user stories and tasks, which you saw respectively. I am just viewing, but there is an ability to create and to edit, as you also saw. We use the back button up here to actually go back. We're now at the open requirements. I'm going to go back one more level to get back to the overview page. Then I can scroll down again, go down, try to get to back to the test case panel, and I can click on the graph here and it will take me to what's called the test case preparation. Or test case overview, I should say, page. And we can see the test cases that are identified. The status is prepared. However, when you click on that, I notice something. You'll notice that below it is blank. There are no instructions, no expected results. It's not until you do an add on this item, edit recurring journal entry, display GL account line items. So to me, these are actual, they could be reviewed, considered as sub-test cases or group of test cases. And in each one would require clicking on the add button to then be able to give instructions as to what to do in this case to edit recurring journal entry. Hopefully you followed that. And once that's entered, click OK, and now you would have a completed test case in my mind. I'm going to cancel, and we're back to this point. So all of these don't have any instructions or expected results, and that would be something, it looks to me like, is still required. I'm going to go back again. And notice that we're going one level up with the back button. We can go further up to get back to the overview. So we return to the project overview page using the back button. There are test, execution, and defects summary windows as well. If I scroll down one more time, we can see that. There's the test execution and the defects. And it's showing one defect. If I look at that, well, first let's look at this guy, the test execution. Now, since the script or the test cases do not seem to be complete to me, I'm surprised that there was a test run. And it's saying it's in progress. So let's take a look at that. And I really doubt that this is expected action. And it says that, but it says it passed, but there wasn't any instructions, there weren't any actions to take. It's just the test case title itself. So that's a little odd, but I'm pretty sure it is just superficial. Let's go back to the overview. I'm going to scroll down one more time. And this time we're going to go to the defects window, which is looks like the last one down here. It says there's one new defect, and let's see what that looks like. Here we can see the one defect, which when open, it shows a description of test defect. Let's open it right here by clicking on it. And over here in the right, we see the description is test defect. So that tells me that it was just put out there just to see how the defects work. So you can edit the existing defects. You can create new defects. Here's the create button over here. And you can create subtask to the defect. I would think of that as follow-up information. So if it were a real defect, you could trace back to the offending test case as well. If you notice, there are some other items that it does tell you that this defect is associated to an existing test case. So that is useful. Let's see if there's anything else that's important. Here's the test case. So now you know which test case it's associated to. And I might also add that by doing it this way, where you can actually see the test case that this particular test belongs to, or this defect belongs to, it actually is a good thing, because then you know what the instructions are to actually try to reproduce the defect. And that's something that wasn't available in the earlier release. So this is a nice addition to be able to tie those two together, the defect and the test case, so that someone giving the assignment to fix the defect, they can easily look at what was done that caused the error or the defect. Hopefully you followed that. Okay, we're going back up again. And one more time. And we're at the overview. And of course, if I didn't mention it, it had the edit button as well. Well, that concludes the demonstration of the ALM product version called the Cloud ALM, or ALM Cloud, however you want to refer to it. Thank you for your time. My time is up. I thank you for yours. Please join us in the next session.